All right, back with the Turtle Club YouTube channel. We're here with Alex at PPG Tampa. We got top 8 with set 9 Jiren.
Whoop.
There we go.
We're not in coordination yet.
we'll figure it out. And we'll go through the deck profile.
All right, so I played Jiren from set 9. He is, when you attack, you take a life and you play a 2 or less Universe 11, or he draws a card, gains 5k. 4 life, untap 1, draw 1. And then on the backside, he attacks, gains 5k. Activate battle if you have a Universe 11 in play. You take a life, and then you take no more damage from attacks for the rest of the turn. Yeah, that's it. Pretty much for the leader. It's mostly just Universe 11 stuff and hand control. So it's a big hand control deck. So at first I use Pod. So I play 4 of, because there's a lot of things that trigger on both people's turns, and it keeps your hand size kind of healthy compared to your opponents. And you can also pop it late game to like revive certain cards that really help out the deck. So this is what made the deck work. It's for Margarita. She's a barrier blocker. She has Poutine effect essentially, and she plays off the leader's front side. We didn't account for that.
Come on, PPG.
Machado loves to talk, man.
Once again, Dragon Ball Super 3v3. We will be starting at 1 p.m. If you want to sign up, please do so at the
We're good.
So, yeah, she needs a multicolor energy to trigger her discard one when she's played. So a lot of times you swing at the leader and you've already had an energy exhausted, you cheat her in, and it's essentially giving your leader critical on the front side, so it kind of helps with the hand control. So yeah, 4 of her, but the barrier part is the real thing. It keeps you alive on the backside.
And that's the number 1 target you want to play off the leader.
Yeah, there's a couple instances where like you want to play Topo first to just do some cheeky plays, but yeah, I'll go to that in a second. So the other part of it is Topo. He's a 1-drop. When he's played, your opponent discards a card, and then when he's KO'd and placed in the drop by a skill, he also discards a card. So I play the Bardock Unison, and it pops it and makes it discard 2 cards. So just 4 Topos. It's really good. 3 Coquette. She is, while you have a Universe 11 in play, you can discard a card and then bring her back from the drop area. So she triggers Pod. And she's also a 1-drop for the Bardock Unison in case I need to have off turns with Topo. And that's pretty much it. She's a nice little 5k combo every once in a while, but pretty much just a Pod target. And also discard draw monkeys. So 2 Jirens. So this is just discard, play 2 or lesses, or 1 or lesses from the drop, 1 or lesses from the drop. So usually most of the time you're just playing 2 Topos. So then you can, after you've already popped one, and then since they don't trigger again, you just wait till next turn, then pop it again with Bardock, and you just make them discard another 2.
And that triggers Pod also, right?
Yeah, it also triggers Pod, yeah. Or you just flood the board with Universe's 11s, and they can't out a bunch of little guys most of the time. So Bardock Unison, he's also part of the big hand destruction part of the list, because he plus 1s pops a 1-drop, discards a card, blah, 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 blah. He also kills combos, which came up a lot. If this didn't get outed, people just never comboed against me. So it was always like, swing 20 at your card. Okay, I guess it's dead now. Do you want to waste 2 cards after I'm hand controlling? No, okay. So just Bardock.
Was this a conscious choice going into next format?
No, I've had this. I built this deck as a joke. What set did Margarita come out in? 15, I think.
Realm,
whatever
right?
set, yeah, whatever set Margarita came out, I built it as a joke and then just kept it. So I made a couple changes, like Frieza. Frieza's amazing. Like, it put in a ton of work. This format, this event gives me a lot of kill potential from 6. My Trunks Cheetah matchup that I played in top 8 that he beat me in game 1, I just slammed this for 5, board wiped him, and then went in and he picked up a negate off life. So it is what it is. But yeah, Frieza's great. If you already have Bardock out, I sometimes leave 3 energy up, and then I'll trade these out as a counter negate and board wipe them, and set up for the kill next turn if they're low on hand size. So it's really solid, especially being dual attack, just base.
You think you played it more on offense or more on defense?
More on offense, because you need stuff to play a lot of the time. But usually, a lot of times you got charged, but sometimes you got played on offense. Almost never on defense. So Frieza to just obviously the Unison package. 2 Zamasus. Pretty straightforward. Zamasu's only cute thing is I play a couple of rivals, and you can like trade him out with a 4-drop arrival and a Topo, and then Topo will trigger and discard a card. So that's cute. 4 cells, because he triggers off Pod. He's also, in my experience with low hand size decks, you want to have that 20k combo is actually really relevant. So you just combo it in, it triggers a pod, draws it. So it's like a normal super combo almost all the time. Because I'm never really resolving more than one in a turn most of the time. But yeah, just a quick pod search, and then also for a rival. This is a joke card. I put it in because I wanted it in a gate. It's also a green-yellow charge, like 90% of the time it's a green-yellow. But late, it came up a couple times actually. Late in the game, it plays a Universe 11 by negating attack, and then plays a Universe 11 2 or less from my drop or my hand. So a lot of the time,
Yeah.
so a lot of time if I didn't have a Universe 11, I'll just bring Margarita back because she's better. But if I'm already like set up and I'm in I would say a favorable position, I'll use the negate to bring Topo back on my opponent's turn, because since it's my opponent's turn, it's affecting a trigger, which will trigger his effect, discard a card, also triggers pod, so I draw a card. So it really helps the whole everything. But most of the time it gets charged because Margarita. 2 Android 13s. This card put in an insane amount of work. He is at the beginning of your opponent's turn. Your opponent chooses 2 of their battle cards and blows them up. And then he's also an arrival for 1 green. And his grave effect like almost never came up. But my round 1 opponent played Black Mass Sands. So if I had needed to, I would have warped this from the drop and popped the Black Mass Sand, because my whole deck gets wrecked by Black Mass Sands. So like my super combos, my leader effect to play Universe 11s, my Coquette gets killed. Just a lot of my stuff gets hit by Black Mass Sands.
Is this the only out in the main board?
Frieza.
Besides Frieza?
Yeah, Frieza too. It doesn't come up that much because it's not really in the meta anymore, but he had it mainboarded, so yeah. But this card, great. I actually killed my teammate's GT spaceship on turn 2. I rivaled this in, crashed into it, played a bunch of cells, and kept attacking into his spaceship until it destroyed. Shout outs to Scott.
Poor Scott.
So yeah, great card. Krillin, Android 18, just a discarded card. It's supposed to be a third one of this, but I left it at home. So this is still a fine card. It's a 4-drop. It can also, if my opponents get cheeky and want to go in on a battle card, I can blank their double strike or something.
If you are currently trying to locate your phone, please come to PPG. Thank you.
Alright, this card does not have an effect. It just says energy exhaust, and it's a 5k green-yellow combo. I never used it for anything else. Most of the time it gets pitched for Coquette because I don't do a ton of arrivaling. So it just gets pitched and just becomes a new card from pod. So still worth it to have though, because again, I need green-yellow.
Okay.
Some of the bombs, 5-drop Boo. I had a really tough time playing GT originally, and anything that could just stick a unison and just get a ton of value. So it does wipe my pod, which I hate. But usually when my opponent board wipes me, if I'm in a good position, I'll just play it, clear the board, and then just attack. And if you don't know what it does, I guess I should explain my own cards. It's Deflect Revenge, so it doesn't really die. If it's killed while I have 5 energy, it comes back. And
KO'd
while it's in
though,
rest
right?
mode, huh?
When it's KO'd, right?
I think it's just by drop. Placed in the drop.
Placed in the drop,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, he just comes back. If it's in rest mode, my opponent has to discard 2 cards to attack my leader. So it creates me some leader protection once it board wipes me, and just clears everything off the board. So it's a really good like oh shit button. I hope I can cuss on your stream,
You're
your
fine,
channel.
yeah.
It's really good against Trunks Cheetah too. Sometimes when they have like, if I'm in a different position against them, like where they're not completely crushing me, if I have like 3 life or something, I'll play this into Trunks and let Trunks tap it, and then board wipe them. And then they have to spend a turn trying to deal with this. And if they can't out this, or they just like spend a turn rebuilding, then I go like, okay, play a new Margarita. Now my leader effect's live again. And then they still have to deal with this. So it's still really good. So
Good reset button.
it's a super good reset button. 4-hit Assassin Strike. No one knows what this does. It's a barrier dual attack. If my leader's green, so it doesn't matter. I can pay 2, like kills a battle card and comes into play. But the bottom effect is when my opponent attacks at any point, they have to discard 2 cards, or the attack is negated and it ends the they can't attack for the turn. So it's a hatch if they don't discard. So I just hard cast this all day. So I just would slam this down against like Turles or something. Yellow deck's like not super great at answering barrier unless you're Trunks Cheetah. Red fucking absolutely destroys this. But again, also against blue, so I'll play this against blue and just swing into the Boo unison a bunch. And then they have to, and blue sucks against hand control, so I'm already in a winning position against them. But if this sticks on the board for a turn with Margarita and with Bardock, it's really hard to remove. And then if I get to untap, I just start killing my opponent. Like against my, my last round I played Green Cooler, and I just, instead of attacking him and try to hand control him, I just started punching him with this. So then he just had to combo out because he was at such a low life total, and then on his turn he had to discard 2, couldn't deal with it.
And it can play off a pod, right?
Yep, it's also a pod target. So I play the bottom 4 effect for pod. I'll either bring hit back or bring Margarita if I have to. So it's a good late game when you need an energy dump because you're going to like, I think I got to turn 7 or 8 before. So you just need like, you run out of stuff to play with your energy and you don't want to slam boo because you're setting up a board and then you need something to do. So draw monkeys because they get pitched off of Coquette so easily. And then because my leader is essentially what they called Immortal Jiren the whole weekend, I can just like on turn 4 just pay 4 and resolve 2 monkeys. And if they can't out my Coquette on like whatever turn that is, I just take a life. It's like whatever. I traded a life for 5 cards essentially. So it's a really good tempo swing. It should probably be Bardock the Eliminator with how many times I needed to tap 1 energy and had nothing else to do. So maybe like 1 or 2 of those would help. Overwhelms is just Toa. I mean, hand destruction. It makes my leader 25 when he swings. So like I can swing into a GT trio and then combo Toa and it's 30. So it helps on clearing stuff. So it's pretty nice. And Wicked Sands. It's a turn 2 like secret rare that discards 2 cards as a Rebrian. So I combo it, and if they don't tap, they have to tap 4 cards, or it comes into play as a dual attack blocker, discard 2 cards, and then also triggers pod. So it's a way I can trigger pod on my opponent's turn if I want to. And a lot of people don't see it coming, and it's like when you spend a couple turns destroying their hand with like 5 or 6 cards, and then this comes down and this just hits their board and then stays as a blocker, all of a sudden you're like, no cards in hand, and you can't pressure my leader. So if you clear my board late game, I still have 3 uses of my leader. So,
are you ever giving them the opportunity to rest 4 things, or are you always playing it when they can't rest 4 things?
Yeah, you're always playing it when I can't rest 4 things. There was only one time, and it was against the Green Cooler guy, because he had 4 energy up, and I was like, if I play it now, he'll either tap out, which will end his turn, or he'll have to do this. And I just waited till he played. He ended up like replacing him with a Frieza Unison, and I was like, oh, perfect. So like, it's way better at discarding 2 cards.
That makes sense.
So that's the list. The sideboard is an absolute joke, so we go through real quick. 2 Kami for blue, 2 Zarbon because it's pod target, 2 Meki Kabora for something, 2 Dark Broly's because it's good at hand destruction. This was the only card I had a serious thought about. It's for blue, baby. So you just play it, discard 2 cards, and then it can't be negated, so they can't stop this card's attack. 2 more Zamasu for yellow, or any matchup that can't out these guys, because I can make it so easily.
Non-red.
And then 2 doubles furtherings, never came in. I never really double strike my opponent. Some of my opponents I won by deck out, or they would just scoop because it's an inevitability that I'm gonna have like 9 or 10 damage on board, and they have no cards in hand, so it's gonna be like, hit you for 2, pop a topo. Yeah, discard the 2, hit you for 1, okay? Play a Margarita, discard a card, okay, hit you for this, and then it's just too much at that point. They can't out-combo all that stuff, so it was just there in case I needed it, maybe like double-striking Unisons. Then Gigantic Meteor, because my current favorite deck, aside from Hit Pod, is Extra Card Broly, so I put it in as a joke. It does nothing in the deck, don't look at it.
I guess go through the matchups for
So I played
Swiss.
Launch, round 1, red-blue. That was, I thought was going to be horrible. He mainboarded Black Mass Hands, has millions of draw power and stuff like that. Round 2, I played my teammate. He played Turles. We've played that matchup so many times. Went to game 3. It was really close game 3. It was incredibly stressful. Round 3, I played Android 16. Completely crushed him because, again, blue can't deal with hand destruction. He doesn't draw on the back. I play Android. I play Bardock. So I kill his first leader combo every time. It was not a good matchup for him. He had a really good sideboard for me for some weird reason, but he just did not have the answer for everything. Round 4, I played Legends. He was playing Gamma. I took him to game 3, but he completely rolled me game 3. He played like barrier removal in his sideboard, so I was just screwed.
Yeah.
And he plays from energy, so it's rough. Round 5, I played GT. GT's kind of rough because they can just loop the GT trio, but eventually, if that's the only thing they can do, my margarita will tap it. So it just became a war of attrition, and I think game 2 I just slammed the Boo Unison on him, or the Boo 5-drop, and then it sucked up his Unison, and then he had to spend a turn rebuilding everything, so he had no nothing. He's got like 6 cards in him, but nothing to do. So he made top 8, so shout out to him too. Round 6, I played a green cooler, and that was an insane match. He just did not know how to play my deck. He had like a bunch of answers for me in the sideboard, surprisingly, but I just started treating it like any other green deck. You can't defend enough attacks, so I just kept pumping attacks into his leader, and that dwindled his hand size more than actually me hand controlling him. And then slam Frieza, triple strike him to death. So he had 3 life, went triple strike twice. That was it. And then I lost to, was it your teammate? Your guys' teammate?
No, our teammates played in top 8 against each other.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
I lost to Trunks Cheetah in top 8. That was a really tight game 3. Everything, it was great. So he got me with like a Bergamo into tapping all my stuff, into killing my board, and it was a lot. He did a lot of stuff.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Any shout outs you want to throw out there?
Shout out to Team Majin. Scott, Jimmy, Fernando. Other than that, not really. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ops.